Welcome back to Ecocentric. I'm going to talk about the trees again today. I had quite a few plants that didn't like the heat we were having come the middle of July up until the middle of August. But the trees apparently wasn't one. There was a lot of trees, I should say, that actually seemed to like it. Look at this. Definitely have to come out, eh? Of course, that'll be late fall. I'm going to bring you in close now and show them to you. So the honey locust actually grew quite nicely. A couple small ones over there. But I am going to remove all of these this fall because I'm thinking this is going to be my propagating bed for trees. Look at these red mulberry. They grew, well, I mean, this entire stock, that's this year, right? They were just, here's the tree from last year right here. And then it has grown up 3 big stalks. Now, that's the way they do. See, I mean, they grow as a bush and you have to prune them to whether you want them to be like a tree or a bush or what. Or even a standard. 24 of them. I'll find places for them and I'll dig the holes so I can start digging holes now. But like I said, they're not moving until October. I want to put a species of them, and I think I'll put one maybe right here, and I'll just prune it heavily, that's all, to keep its size down. I mean, it goes 30 feet wide, right, which I can't have there, but like I said, I'll prune it heavily and keep its size down. And also, I put a Russian mulberry up by the apple tree on the cliff. It's got a little leaf on it there now, but it's not surviving very well. I'm going to decide whether I want to put one of the red mulberries up there with a better planting hole this time and see what happens. Check black mulberry, hey? That grew something fierce this year. So there is 2 really big ones and 2 nice sized ones there, 2 smaller ones, but they are about the size of the largest of the honey locust. So that's wonderful, and I know where I'm going to put those. These, I think they're doing beautiful. They're growing better than the other ones that I'll show you because they're in the deeper soil, but yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens now. Maybe next year. I don't know how old they have to be before they start to flower, but very happy. I did put a frame up to hold up the daisies as well. Yeah, it's a little late this year, so it's just looking like much of a mess, but hopefully next year now I'll have the frame there and we'll have a nice looking daisy patch there. Rose bushes, we talked about those earlier, keeping them, the old canes pruned out, and they come loaded in flowers every year. Well, I'm going to show you this echinacea out there. So the other echinacea, as you know, is white. And I wanted the purple. And you got a bee just landed down there and another one sleeping down there. But I wanted the purple version, so I bought the seed and grew this echinacea here from seed. Grape vines by the front fence. Number 1, Valiant Grape. And Valiant Grape number 2. The grapes didn't grow very much. I'm not concerned. I mean, they're just getting established, right? So, but I'm just saying that there's not much growth in the actual grapes that did form on this. So we'll have to wait till next year and see what happens. I Tended to this one. I trimmed down on the outside here and on the back side. Grapes are growing really nice. They don't grow very big, eh? They're a wine grape, I think, but I like eating them fresh. When they're fully ripe, that is. And at this stage, you could actually make verjuice out of them. There is quite a few. I don't know if it's as many as it was last year or not. But, yeah, I cut back here. And so my thinking was that if I let it grow out and then I cut it back, the grapes are on the older growth. And they will get more light and more likely to ripen up this stuff that's in the back here. So that's those grapes. That's the red maple. A very good tree for around here. It's looking like that because it was just really a stump with its roots all cut off. They got dumped into a hole right there and it decided it didn't want to die. That little shrub just outside of the fence is a service berry. There was a goji there and a goji there, and as we know, we're finding that gojis is not wanting to grow around here, so that's coming up, and I have to decide what 2 shrubs I want to add here. They can't be more than 10 feet because they're right under the pole line, but I don't really want them more than 6 or 8 feet because I'm thinking about putting a greenhouse type thing in here. Romeo cherry seems to do very well. It flowered a couple flowers last year. It flowered more this year. I've yet to get cherries on it. Smoke bush. I mean, I thought I'd get really nice blooms on that this year, but no such luck. The foliage though, it's a nice bronze colored foliage. It's a nice foliage, eh? And we don't get to see them very often. That's a lacewing. It's one of the beneficial insects. I think it feeds on aphids. Anyway, back to the smoke bush. Very nice foliage, and you can prune this any way you like. You could even take a edge trimmer to it and make a nice smooth dome thing out of this, eh? So it's a really beautiful bush, even though it's not putting on its big display of smoke-like blooms. Juliet Cherry, basically the same as Romeo. This is something you were just waiting to see. It's a common pear, and so I bought 2 of them. They have been damaged, so they're being maybe set back. We'll see. And well, we wait and see if it produces and what it produces. I think it's just your common maple. I might have to come out in the evening and retake this piece, because right here there's a patch on that tree. It's just a one branch. It comes up right here. And it turns color, the leaves on it, before the rest of the tree. And it's starting to turn color now, but because the sun it's early morning, you might not be able to see it here. I might have to redo this shot. Here's an evening shot, just a quick shot. It just started to rain, so gotta put the camera back away. Ceria forsythia, they put out a mass of yellow flowers early in the spring, and then the leaves come out afterwards. There are a couple of leaves turning on that one now. Another common pink rose and another forsythia. Speaking of leaves turning, the theory they have now, because they used to think it was, well, coming on fall and getting colder, but then they realized it wasn't actually getting colder. It has to do with the angle of the sun and how much sun rays it gets when it starts to lose the chlorophyll, and thus you get the other colors in the leaves once the chlorophyll drains out, right? That's the other pear tree. To be honest, this coloring, I think that would never did go completely green, that tip. Another spot that a goji was in, and he's not going to survive. I think I want to put an archway over this and have some kind of climbing vine, whether it will be annuals like cucumbers and squash, or will I have some kind of perennial vine, has yet to be seen. But just for ornamental sake, really, to have an archway over the pathway that's going up toward the apple tree on the cliff. First, Mulberry cherry plum. Now this thing was an apple tree that I cut down because it was 22 years old something, and it wasn't producing anything, and I felt it was in my way. Cut it down, and it's put up all these suckers, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet. These blueberries, I'm going to move them. They're not growing very well here, and it's just the place they've been planting in. But I think if I move them up to where I'm going to show you, they'll grow better. Mulberry cherry plum number 2. Of course, you know about the white currants. This is fox willow, which doesn't seem to like it there. Even, yes, there's grass around it, but that's not the issue. It's just don't like it. Even this year, with a lot of the other trees taking right off, it never really done a whole lot. Now you remember the willow that was growing over here, which grew quite a bit, and it grows up and breaks down and grows up and breaks down. I'll show you another one. Before I do, since I'm beside the well, and we have a tree back here, once I lay his eyes on him. It blends right in with the rest of the surroundings, eh? But there it is right there, birch leaf pear. Didn't grow a lot, but I mean, it's quite healthy. I expect next year it'll probably grow a lot better. It's in that little hollow stump thing I got put there, so it's okay. And then we'll just cut across the top here now. Another one that didn't grow very much, but it is healthy looking. That's the Carolina hosepiece. I had several of them growing up on the top hill, and of course I never used fertilizer in my life, and I was given some fertilizer, and I decided I'll put some fertilizer beside these. Killed every one of them. I put this in here. This is a cranberry, but then I was reading the label and it's a ground cover. So I think I want to move this again and I'll move it out somewhere beside where I'm already clearing away from the tree and have it a ground cover underneath the tree. So this is a place where I can put either a true tree, because the sunlight has to get underneath by the trunk and to that Carolina allspice, or a low bush. Now speaking of that willow that I showed you over there, look at this. This entire thing wasn't here in the spring. Those chunks of wood underneath, they were just sitting there on empty ground for the most part. I mean, these, well, I'll mention those in a second. But it's all new growth. Man, willows grow fast. Anyway, I want to keep this one here. I'm hoping to get it into a big tree, and I'll key out exactly what species of willow it is, and then get its exact good properties. I don't know if all willows are good for acetaminophen, aspirin type painkillers. Of course, those long new branches for flexible craft work, we know about those. And there's a use for the leaves, which I have to figure out. So these are coming up here. Initially I thought they were trembling aspen, eh? But then they put out their leaves, and look at the size of the leaves. So I went on the hunt, and I ID'd them. Balsam poplar. They grow into a really large tree. But apart from that, their qualities and usefulness, they're really no different than the trembling aspen. And trembling aspen is in the poplar family. Just that they grow smaller and they spread by mostly by putting up suckers from the roots, and that. Balsam poplar don't do that. However, you know, I have a few growing around here, all across here, and it's because, well, you start to work in an area, and then seeds that have been sitting there for, could be decades or century for that matter, you've now given them the conditions they were waiting for to sprout, and up they sprout. But really they're in the way, so I'm not going to keep those. As I say, Pixwell gooseberry, I don't know why it's staying red, but hopefully it survives and takes off next year. It did grow, what was it, 4 or 5 inches something this year. So it's growing, and I put on a really good shoot of gooseberries. They were delicious. Thinking about looking at this one over and doing some more shaping and pruning back again. I've only done it once. There is a couple of old canes that's looking bad, but not serious. I really like this bush, especially when it's full in flower. This is no, don't remember the name of it now, but it is a beautiful bush. Then we have our row of currants, and the last two over. Well, you see the currant bushes over there, they have a light color and they have red leaves as well, eh? Same as the Pixwell right there. It's just that they are more green. That's where I'm thinking about putting the blueberry. Maybe put one here. I want a pathway for 6 feet wide to go here. But yeah, put one here, and I'll figure out some in this area somewhere to put the other one. Another Mulberry cherry plum. The rhododendron, it seemed to do well this year. It filled in real nicely, and Seems like it's growing good. I don't have it cleaned out around so you can see the real effect, but it's really seems to have put on some growth this year, and yeah, enjoyed the weather. So we've mentioned this one a couple of times now. You see the leaf, and then this leaf. Now, just a minute. We'll take a leaf from the plum tree and a leaf from the cherry tree. The biggest difference is the extra veining in the plum tree leaf. You see how you've got the main rib going down in the center of the cherry tree, and then you've got those side ribs, but that extra veining is very faint. It's really coarse in the plum tree, which is what you have here. And then over here you got more of a cherry thing. So this was a plum tree put on a cherry tree stock. So what I have to do now is keep these suckers from that cherry root stock cut down and let this grow, and I'll have another plum tree here. From the plum tree, this is something I don't think I even mentioned this one this year. Some more balsam poplar growing there. See, and another one up there. So there is quite a few of them actually growing around here. But this is a sugar maple. I had 2 of them, and that was the thing about coming in with the line trimmer, eh? I came in here once with a line trimmer, and the one that I had over there, I nicked it and killed it. So I've only have the one sugar maple. The tent caterpillars, they're more this year, but I went for a ride out back, and there's a lot of them around. It's the weather, so we have more of them around. Hopefully we don't get a full infestation. The cherry trees seem to be pretty healthy, eh? Now, you remember the plum tree last year? I cut off all the black knot. And there's black knot coming back on this like crazy now. So the tree is not healthy. I'll have to clone it in the spring. That's all I know. Well, I can look at the tips, say it didn't put on any growth either. So it's not an healthy tree. Clone it, or do I have to buy another couple of pear trees and wait for them to get old enough to produce? I don't know. Of course, you know about my female seaberry, sea buckthorn. So with cuttings that I was given in the spring, you see I had cut it way back. It took root, and it has grown. Now I thought I was going to, well, I had the ideal in my mind to take them up when I moved the other ones over in that bed, move them over to that bed. But then I thought, no, I don't want to disturb them, let them get bigger. I'm going to leave these here and take them up next fall. I have these 2 that grew the most. I have 2 over there that grew well. This one grew well. There's a couple that didn't grow that much, but they're still alive. Next fall, I'll have 9 male seaberry to move. The females didn't do as well. I do have 5, it looks like. 5 or 6 female over there. So I'm well on my way to, well, I mean, that might be plenty for me for all I know. I think I might just stop at that, and if I do clone them now, I'll start I might clone them and have them for sale. But apart from that, I'm not going to be setting more than that, I don't think. I haven't been mentioning this one. This is the Siberian Pea Shrub. It's alive. It didn't grow that much. I don't know now if it's because of, I mean, it's right on the edge of this slope. Is it a lack of water or some other reason? I don't know. I do want to get these growing, and I think I can. I think maybe I'm going to have to cut down the aspen that's growing up there and keep it clear. Well, it'd just be cut it down with the line trimmer. And there would be another place that I could plant a mulberry tree and also plant some Siberian pea shrub down there. We shall see. I just come in to check on this apple tree. Oh, there's a nice patch of really big blueberries there. I'll have to come and pick those. As for this apple tree, now there's apples on it, but they're not very big. See if I can. If you can see any apples on that. They're not very big apples. We're up on the top hill where the soil is sandy anyway and things are drier. This is the Osage orange, and they didn't grow that much. They're looking quite healthy. There's one, there's two, and there's three. Now as for the Russian mulberry, even though it is, like I say, just basic down into sandy soil, it is growing some. This one didn't, but it's healthy enough. And of course there's the 12s that I had planted out here. I cut down the alder that was right up close to it here, and the other spruce tree. And it did, you see, put on quite a bit of growth over the summer. Probably a little bit protected from the drying of the sun right there. This one is drooping a bit here now, but it put on some growth. I have to cut down this willow thing here. No, they're doing fairly well, and they'll take hold now. I mean, remember, I planted them here last fall when they went dormant. So this is their first year here. Yeah, the one right there. This one over here was the one that was struggling to survive. You see, it did put on a few leaves. And we have 4 or 5 down here. I think this is the one that's still doing the best of them all. That's cherry trees there, but I think I'll have to cut them down. This one is doing the best of them all, I think. Now this one is one that survived from the earlier planting. So it's been there 2 years now. And I have to mention this one as a matter of keeping it on the record. This is the one that was supposed to be a Russian mulberry. But it ain't a Russian mulberry. I don't know what it is. And of course the last of the Russian mulberries. Now there's room here at 15-foot spacing for me to plant 9 of the red mulberry. Thinking I might plant some over there where the Russian mulberry are missing. And while I am going to attempt to get more Osage orange growing. The black locust, because this is free, I'm going to plant the black locust up here. The original, and I guess the final plan, I'll get more black locust and whatever other trees. Of course, there's a lot of property that I can just stick trees on and just keep planting and see what sticks, sort of a deal. This is the pathway that's going to be kept open for the quad going back and forth. Sea buckthorn is a kind of an edge species. It grows, like you say, just up from the sea, against where the taller vegetation is starting to grow. Hence, it needs full sun, really. I could put them just right here, along the edge of the roadway here, because then they'll always have full sun, because like I say, the roadway is going to be open, and then I've got an edge thing right here. And some of the red mulberry that I have, I can plant in there, and whatever other trees. See, all of this tree growth you see here, it's trembling aspen shoots coming up from the roots of the bigger stuff in the back. So it really, to make a true forest garden, a lot of this has to go anyway, and I need to try and get a variety of trees growing. So, like I say, put sea buckthorn out here. I could put some of the mulberry back there. Some of the other trees that I'm planning on growing, I'll get and alternate them around in that area. You see, for the most part, I'm finding that this area here around the house, this is as much as I can deal with. It is about half an acre. I think that includes the buildings. And so that's why I want to have at least one example of each species down here. And then I can be actually tending to at least one individual of each species that I have in this area. And then up top is just what sticks. It will get some tending to in the way of go and maybe cut down the brush that's growing, try and overgrow it, and maybe throw some kelp around it once in a while. But apart from that, they'd be on their own. Oh, and I did find out what this tree was, That's a birch. So I'm going to leave that there until it's actually in my way. It may never get in my way. So we're going to come back here now. Hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I shall talk to you in the next one.